I'm Maria Menounos, and you're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Sunderland Till I Die after show. I am Kelsey Meyer, and I'm joined by the lovely Toree.
Hey, guys.
Hi, Tor. Thanks for being here, you guys. We're so excited today to talk to you about episode 1 of this fabulous show. I kind of broke it down, Tor, into 3 different segments I think we should focus on. The new owners, huge, right? Change in stadium, kind of how we brought the music, the seats, the change in all that feel, and then their first game.
Yes.
And then we have a fun little special segment that we're going to do an underdog segment. And we also have a little bit of news for you. So, Toree, give me your overall thoughts on this episode.
So I love this show. And I actually am not a huge soccer fan, but I am obsessed with this show. I am so drawn in. When they were showing their first game of the new season, I was on the edge of my couch. I wanted them to win so bad. I'm super excited. It is a lot of focus on behind the scenes, and so it's a lot of new information that I wasn't privy to before, just kind of how sports work and stuff like that. So it's super exciting to see, and I'm actually super excited for the rest of the season because now I'm committed.
Now you're in. I know. Isn't it funny? You feel because I was the same way. I mean, I follow soccer a little bit, and I knew of Sunderland, but not well. But now I feel this allegiance to this team. And I'm like, why do I feel this allegiance? But you do. They do a great job.
They really just brought me in. And I'm just I just want to know what happens next.
I know. So what did you think about the new management, the new owners coming in?
I think they honestly came out the gate swinging. They kind of came in that first conference meeting that we saw with just kind of the staff of the team. And he was just listen, let's go over these numbers. Let's really figure out how we can make this team better. I mean, there's so many elements to this team that are kind of, I guess, holding them back in a way. And so it was so interesting to see them come in, like I said, just take full ownership of what can be done better, how they can cut back on numbers, how they can improve, how they can get the fans involved. And it was nice to see them consider each and every element. I mean, even down to the music that they played and repainting the chairs. It was just really nice to see them want to take this full brand and really give it a whole new paint job. No pun intended.
Right. No pun intended. It is true, though. It's so interesting how they filmed this and how they did it, because you learn so much about the business behind it. Right. So, they had these old managers that, I mean, they portrayed them as decent owners and people, but clearly it wasn't working for the team. So they get this whole new staff, and it's not, yes, it is about the players and how well they do, but it's the players are good, period. You know that. I mean, they have to be. So the whole business aspect to me is wild. The money side of things, them talking about how in debt they were, that just kind of blew my mind. It's wow, you don't know, or you don't hear a lot about that, especially with something like soccer, which I feel like us in the States aren't as, it's not as popular.
Yeah. And I think it's definitely easy to kind of get blinded by the winning streak and stuff like that, because even when the team was doing super well in some of these first 2 episodes that we were able to see, they were doing amazing. They made a complete turnaround from the previous season, and behind the scenes was still a mess. And it was just kind of wow, as a fan or somebody who's just watching, you're just kind of thinking, okay, as long as they're winning, everything should be fine. And that's definitely not the case here.
Absolutely. And I mean, talk about these fans, talk about passion. It is crazy. And I know someone said it in the earlier season, but how this city is all they have is this soccer team. So it's almost you feel badly for them because they're beyond passionate. It's they're fanatics, right? And it's these new owners, I felt when they came in, they really were in it for the fans.
Yeah.
They wanted the fans to see them doing well, because there was a quote that he said, I have to read it because it was actually it was so cute. I was I love this. It was the goal is to harness the emotions of the fans, because with the emotions and their intensity, that's an unstoppable force. And I was that's so real. I love that. It's I felt they were pure and
and even in that first episode, I think we were able to see that. I mean, the team hadn't scored anything yet, and the fans were already singing about them being the best team on the land. And I was wow, that's really fan devotion and fan appreciation. It was just crazy to see, because like I said, I mean, at that point they were losing the game in that they ended up winning, and before they even scored, you just see like the whole stadium is just cheering for them, and it was just amazing to see.
What did you think about that classic little PR move of them painting this and like rebuilding the seats?
I thought it was classic. I was like, this is a great way to get the fans involved. I mean, you saw the fans kind of get to interact with the players, even though they're not doing their best. You know, it was just a nice, like, pull on your heartstring moments. It was really highlighting that the team is for the community. The team, like the community basically came out and fixes the stadium just because, you know, nobody told them that they had to. And so it was just amazing to see people literally come out and remodel this whole stadium just because they love the team so much. And it just really highlighted the loyalty that they have regardless of how they're doing. And I think it was a good moment for the fans to be able to interact. And I guess for like new team members that they just brought on to kind of see the culture of the community and see how much the team means to them. So I think it was good for everybody involved, honestly.
I agree. I think it's so interesting, and you touched on it. So interesting that these fans, even when the team is not doing well, I mean, you have those season ticket holders that are so dedicated and want them to do so well that they're there rebuilding these chairs for the stadium with these players, and they want to be there and they're excited to be there no matter what. I love that. I love that. And I thought it was interesting how they came in and changed the music, right?
Yes.
I was like, oh, okay. And his little points about saying, it was funny. I thought when they were all in the room discussing the music, and it was the younger of the crowd who was like, oh yeah, that old stuff sucked. And then the older people were kind of like, well, I mean, it's what it's always been. Like, people have an allegiance to that music. And I thought that was very interesting, because I was like, yeah, you want that new young blood, that change. It's hard. Change is hard, but I thought that was a cool moment.
Yeah. And then it was like funny at the end because the younger guy was like, I mean, it doesn't really matter what we play because our sound system sucks. And I was like, now we're back to the drawing board. So that was hilarious because it was kind of like they're trying to figure out ways around the budget, and it's really no way around the budget. So that was hilarious.
Right. But it is so interesting how many different elements go into it. You know, it's like when they were talking about the music, talking about the seats, it's like, oh God, of course you think about that. You think about when you go into a really nice stadium and you're like, wow, this is a nice stadium. Got the hype music, you got everything. And then when you go into one that's not as nice, it's like you aren't as proud of it. So I thought I was like, yeah, music plays a huge role. Like, I thought that was good.
Does.
That was a good moment. And then what do we have? Oh, the first game. I was like, I had a pit in my stomach.
So did I. No, so did I,
right?
for sure. I was like, please. I was sitting like this the entire time with like my hand over my mouth,
I know,
waiting for them to say if they were going to win.
I know. And like we talked about prior, it's like, you have no allegiance to this team, yet you want them to succeed. You want them to do so well. And that got me.
Yeah, that definitely it kind of took me back to college where, like, of course I'm not on the team, but because this is my college team, I'm like cheering for them so hard, and like I'm completely in it. Mind you, my emotions have nothing to do with whether we win or lose. And it just like brought me back to that moment. And now I'm a Sunderland fan. I want them to win.
I know. No, I'm the same. And that's funny you say that, because my college was such an underdog team. Washington State, go Cougs. Yeah, such an underdog team. We hardly ever did well, but when we did, it was phenomenal. And no matter what, like, I felt like our student section and our fans are like diehard fans. So I felt the exact same thing. I was like, oh, I know this all too well.
Exactly. I was like, oh Jesus, here we go again. Temple University already put me through the emotions, and here they go bringing me back.
Right.
It just brought you back to that moment.
So that was a cool win. That was exciting. And you have, speaking of underdogs, you have a fun little segment about some other underdogs. Let's hear it.
Yeah, so of course we know this series, Sunderland pretty much are the underdogs, and then they have a team compiled of underdogs in their own right. So I thought it was only fitting to just kind of highlight other underdogs in other leagues. So the one that we're going to highlight today are the Philadelphia Eagles. And of course they have a special place in my heart because I went to Temple University. And actually in 2018, they were able to win the Super Bowl against the Patriots. And if that is not an underdog story, I don't know.
Right.
And let me tell you, of course I was there. So Broad
Ooh,
Street
you were
after that.
there.
Yes, I
Oh
was
my
there. And
God.
after they won the Super Bowl, when I tell you the streets were full, they were full. I was out there as well, but it was
You
just
go, girl. I
amazing.
love it. I bet that was amazing energy.
It was an amazing energy. You just kind of felt everybody rooting for them. It wasn't just
Yeah.
Philadelphia. Like I said, it was just kind of one of those underdog stories where everybody just wanted the Patriots to lose, and it was just amazing to see. So that is our underdog highlight of the episode.
I love that. I love it though. It's such a parallel because I mean, you see these fans in the streets afterwards and they're either pissed, they're swearing, they're like, or they're on fire. I mean, they're so happy. And I like that. I'm like, man, that just pumps me up. I'm like, man, I want to go to London. I need to go. I need to
Honestly.
get more into soccer. I like the culture. I'm like, I love it. I love it.
It's amazing.
So I have a fun little tidbit about for a little news segment about Mr. Charlie, who Charlie was the new director they brought in. I thought this was interesting. He helped Sunderland attract the largest crowd for a third tier team at more than 31,000 people, and the largest League One attendance at 46,039 for a Box Day clash. And I was like, that's a lot of people.
That is a lot of people.
That's a lot of people. Because I went on, I was like, oh, who are these new people? Who's this Mr. Charlie man? And there was actually a whole article on like, who is Charlie and like his whole background and everything. And it was really interesting. Like he was a journalist major and then he went to PR and now he owns this, or he's the director of this team. And it's like, it shows you that you don't have to be like in that position to do well, you know? And it's like the new blood. That's all you need.
Yeah, and I actually picked up on that in one of the episodes. He didn't mention that he was a journalist or a journalism major or something like that. And I was like, wow. Right. And it's like, oh, that's us. But it's just so crazy how like life experiences can really just change and shift your path. It's just kind of like, if that's not motivation that you can be and succeed in any path that you choose to, no matter like what you've studied in the past, that's it. And it was just like, yes, we're all trying to figure it out.
No, I agree. I totally agree. And so speaking of, we're trying to figure it out. I know you guys are all trying to figure it out. We're stuck at home, Toree. This is a crazy time we're living in. But what you can do is you can like and subscribe to AfterBuzz and you can watch us. You can watch our fun shows that we're doing for you guys and you can stay at home. And so that's, I have to say this. I'm gonna give my little tidbit every time we do this. I'm like, stay at home, do your part, stay safe. Watch Sunderland. Watch Toree and I talk about Sunderland because it's a good story.
Yeah, no, it is really good. I'm not just saying that because I want you guys to watch the after show, but it is actually really good. If you like these like underdog, especially if you liked stories like Cheer on Netflix, you're going to love this. This was it's you like keep wanting to watch. It's definitely something that you want to binge. So I'm excited.
Did you have to put on subtitles? I'm curious.
Yes. Yes, I did. Honestly, some of the subtitles are wrong.
Yes. No, it's so funny. I lived in London for almost a year. And so I found myself like okay with it, but my dad watched it and he had called me. He was like, did you have to put on the subtitles? I was like, no, I was fine. He was like, I had no idea what was going on. Like he had to read everything. I was like, it's so interesting. It's a thick accent.
Yes, it is a thick accent. And like on the first episode, I didn't really have to put them on. And then it was like the second episode, I think they were just like talking lower in some points. So like I couldn't hear anything that I needed because like I have a dance background. So I'm kind of used to being around people with thick accents, but some of them I was just kind of like, I cannot hear. I was literally like leaning in, like, what did they say? So that's really why I had to tune in and then the accent. But then I realized the subtitles were wrong. So I think for the rest of the series, I'm just going to try to listen better because the subtitles didn't help half the time.
No, I had to ask you because I thought that was, it's so interesting. And I think it makes the show more fun too, right? Because you're like, ooh, I feel like I'm not here. I feel like I'm there with them.
Exactly.
It was exciting. Well, thank you everyone. And that was so much fun. I can't wait to talk with you, Tor, about the second episode and all the ones to come.
Yes,
and tell everyone where they can find you on your social.
So you guys can find me on Instagram at Toxic Model or on Twitter at Toree with 2 E's.
Amazing. And I'm Kelsey Meyer, and you can find me. I'm Kelsey Meyer 2 because the first one was taken. So I'm Kelsey Meyer 2 on everything. And we'll see you guys soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our founder, Keven Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.